With the start of NBA free agency just a few days away, who would you like to see the Dallas Mavericks go after in this year's NBA free agency frenzy? This is the Gray Area right here on Kevin Gray Sports. My name is Kevin Gray. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. You can catch me on your home of the Dallas Cowboys and Texas Rangers, 105.3 The Fan. NBA free agency is just a few days away, and with the Mavericks not having any draft picks in this year's NBA draft, their full focus is now turned toward free agency. Whom will the Dallas Mavericks go after to try and secure additional talent and upgrade this roster to go alongside Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis? The Mavericks have been linked to a ton of names throughout this NBA free agency and offseason period, including Kyle Lowry. Mark Stein, longtime NBA insider, reporting today that the Dallas Mavericks, alongside the Miami Heat and the New Orleans Pelicans, will be the top three teams going after Kyle Lowry and his services. The 35-year-old, of course, playing with the Toronto Raptors this past year, shooting over 37% from the three-point line, nearly 8 attempts at the three-point line this season. Kyle Lowry has been there and done that as an NBA champion, a guard who has played on and off the ball throughout the duration of his career, and now at age 35 looking for an opportunity to maybe be the Chris Paul light of this year's NBA free agency period. A lot of folks getting the idea that Kyle Lowry could be the missing piece and link to a team, a young team or a young-ish team like the Dallas Mavericks, to try and help them get over the top and get over certain hurdles when it comes to playoff experience. If Kyle Lowry finds himself going to a team like the New Orleans Pelicans to team up with the guy in Zion Williamson, his leadership and growth there could help Zion Williamson. Additionally, if he does come to a team like the Dallas Mavericks, his ability to play on and off the ball will serve him well alongside supernova and superstar Luka Doncic, who, of course, is a two-time first-team All-NBA selection. The question is, what will the price be for Kyle Lowry? There have been reports that he is looking for a 3-year, $90 million deal, $30 million per season. That may be a little too rich for the Dallas Mavericks' blood. Now, what's interesting is how they could potentially get to that kind of space with their salary cap situation. They could clear up to near $34 million in cap space if they renounce Tim Hardaway Jr. and if Josh Richardson decides to decline his near $12 million player option going into this upcoming season. You can get additional money by declining the team option for Willie Cauley-Stein. So there are ways that the Mavericks can get there from a salary standpoint to try and go after a guy in Kyle Lowry. But when you start thinking about names that are additionally available now, especially after the Los Angeles Lakers moved and traded for Russell Westbrook, a name like DeMar DeRozan now comes to mind, given the fact that a potential reunion in Los Angeles seems to be out the window, because I have a hard time believing that your man DeMar DeRozan would take the mid-level exception to go play with the Los Angeles Lakers, given what he could be looking at as his final payday in the NBA. I asked Nico Harrison after the NBA draft, what is the identity that this team is trying to build for Jason Kidd and how it will inform this team and they go after in free agency. Here's what Nico Harrison told me after the NBA draft.
Kevin Gray, 105 through the Fan, and good evening, Nico.
Good evening.
As you go into free agency, what kind of identity are you looking to build for this Mavericks basketball team, and how that will inform you on the kind of players that you're looking for, whether it be for guys going into Summer League, but also going into free agency this summer?
Yeah, I think really, we're going to take on the identity of our coach. And Jason, Jason has a philosophy that he wants to play faster than they did in the past. He also wants to play a better defense. So we're going to look for those characteristics. And then again, you have a big-time point guard, so you just surround a team that can play with him.
So Nico Harrison saying, look, we want to play faster. Jason Kidd wants to play faster than what this team has played in the past, which is interesting when you start thinking about the kind of guards that are available in this year free agency class. When you start looking at this class overall for 2021, not the greatest or deepest class when it comes to all free agents that are available. You have your big names at the top with guys like Kawhi Leonard and Chris Paul most likely headed back to the Los Angeles Clippers and the Phoenix Suns respectively. But then you start thinking about other names that are restricted free agents, the John Collinses of the world, guys like Rashawn Holmes, who could find himself going out into the free agency market. Could a team like the Dallas Mavericks, who can use an athletic big in a Rashawn Holmes, get after him in free agency? We mentioned DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry, and others. Lonzo Ball also available as a restricted free agent. There's no shortage of names that the Dallas Mavericks could use to try and help upgrade this roster. But more so than anything, they're going to have to move quickly. The free agency period begins on Monday, August the 2nd, and teams will be looking to try and capitalize very quickly given the shortage of free agency talent in this year's free agency class. So the Mavericks are going to have a plan A, plan B, plan C, all the way to plan Z, but more importantly, get creative when it comes to trying finding ways to upgrade this roster, especially if you decide to prioritize, which we've heard throughout this offseason the Mavericks will do, prioritize re-signing Tim Hardaway Jr., who could command $18 to $20 million on the open market himself. What kind of price will the Mavericks be willing to bring Tim Hardaway Jr. back to this roster going into this upcoming season? And then if Josh Richardson does opt into his near $12 million player option going into this upcoming year, how creative can you get to try and move him somewhere else coming off of a down year where Josh Richardson struggled in his role with the Dallas Mavericks? All of those things are going to be coming into play when you start thinking about the names that could be moving and shifting teams throughout this NBA free agency period. But no shortage of creativity has to be had when it comes to the Mavericks and this front office. Nico Harrison and Jason Kidd, Michael Finley, and this front office and coaching staff are going to have to really put their heads together to get creative, especially if you're not going to move off of Kristaps Porzingis, which it appears this team is not going to do so this offseason. Try to rebuild the value of one Kristaps Porzingis to ensure that maybe going into 2022 and beyond, he becomes a more tradable asset. If you're looking for this team to potentially shed salary, you could look at guys like Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleber, maybe Jalen Brunson, who is an attractive piece on a rookie deal going into the final year of his rookie deal, could be an attractive piece in a trade scenario when you're trying to find ways to get creative to bring other players in to upgrade the talent. Guys like Norman Powell, Will Barton, Spencer Dinwiddie are also going to be available in this year's NBA free agency class. How much money are the Mavericks going to be willing to spend, and what kind of money will they have available to spend to try and get after these free agents? All of these questions and more are obviously going to be on the table as this team looks to upgrade its roster going into this upcoming season, while trying to give Mavericks fans the idea that this team is continuing on the right course when it comes to building a championship contender with Luka Doncic at the forefront leading this franchise going forward. Don't forget, Luka Doncic is eligible to sign his 5-year, $201.5 million contract extension, his rookie max extension this summer. So obviously you'll have one more year on his rookie deal before that contract kicks in at the beginning of the following season. So the time is now for the Mavericks to strike in free agency, and to do so with a number of names that could fit certain needs when you start looking at what this team needs. Secondary ball handling and playmaking, an athletic big to go alongside Kristaps Porzingis, a 3-and-D wing that can play defense but also can shoot the ball from the three-point line and do so at a much higher level than guys like Dorian Finney-Smith and others on this team. Those are the kinds of things that you would want to see for the Mavericks try to address in this year's free agency class. The question is, will they have the requisite funds, and will they have the kind of creativity to ultimately do it? That obviously is going to be the biggest question going forward into NBA free agency. Let me know who you think the Dallas Mavericks should go after in NBA free agency. And as we get ready to get started with NBA free agency here in the coming days, we'll have plenty to talk about, I'm sure. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to hit that subscribe button right there for all things Kevin Gray Sports here on YouTube. It's been another episode of The Gray Area. We'll talk to you later. Peace.